Hey guys, hey, it's Bree here coming at you guys with another video or episode if you're listening to this on the podcast. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm a little excited about today's episode because it is something that is near and dear to my heart. It is something that I have experienced personally and that I'm seeing all around in TikTok, in social media, and everywhere. So, today we're going to talk about Sachamama, the snake, the archetype of the sap in the medicine wheel. We're going to really dive in and we're going to really talk about wounds and what the snake represents. So, without further ado, let's get to healing. Okay, that was a little corny, but anywho. So, I've noticed this a lot lately, and it's perhaps the darkness we perceive in others is actually the darkness within ourselves. Perhaps what we see as darkness, and those that we choose to say have darkness, or places, people, things, whatever, there's actually a bit of darkness in ourselves that we ourselves are not willing to work on that. We're not willing to witness or focus or see for ourselves. And so we project that darkness onto that person, place, thing, whatever. And that becomes darkness, and we see it as darkness. And so then the stories are created and the stuff is created, and we just start putting all of this stuff out there, and so every single thing that lines up equals to that is correct. Because we also know that what we create, we can uncreate. We create our own reality, right? So we create things. We can also uncreate things at the same time. We can create the things that we uncreate. So we're constantly creating, uncreating all of this stuff. We're creating our own realities. We're doing all of these things, and we're creating these stories and these wounds. Recently, about a month ago, I want to say, I stepped back on to the medicine wheel in a sense of taking the advanced shaman course, and in doing that, I've noticed a lot of things come up as far as the snake. And this hit me really big. This came to me the other day when I was channeling a little bit. And it was, perhaps the snake that gave Eve the apple in the garden was not evil. Because if you think about it, by getting the apple, we learned about wisdom. We learned the truth. We found love. We found healing. We found growth. We found people. If we had stayed in the garden forever and ever and ever, first of all, we wouldn't be here, right? We wouldn't be here. It would probably still be Adam and Eve. Or it could be that we would be here, but we're walking around in the garden unaware. We wouldn't know love. We wouldn't know truth. We wouldn't know beauty. We wouldn't know strength, wisdom. We wouldn't know our capabilities. We wouldn't know our intuition. We wouldn't know our truth, who we are. We also wouldn't know death, grief, pain, anger, anguish. We wouldn't know any of that. But we have to know the death, the anger, the angst, the pain, all of that stuff, to be able to have the love, the healing, all of that, so that we can enjoy that even more, so we love even deeper, even stronger. So if we had stayed in that garden, honestly, guys, that would have been boring. That would have been extremely boring. I would not have wanted to stay in that garden. Like, what are you going to do all day? Just run around? You can't eat apples. And apples are one of my favorite fruits. So you can't eat apples. And they say that from that moment, because Eve chose to eat the apple, women were cursed each month. That we were cursed. Now, men, stick with me for a minute, okay? I'm so sorry, but we are going to talk about that time of the month. I'm learning to step outside of my box this year. And so, anyways, I have learned a lot. So when I started working with the archetype, the snake of the south again, and I learned that in many different cultures, the snake actually means wisdom, literal life in some places, literal creating, shedding, letting go of wounds. You know, the snake is represented by wisdom in some cultures also. And so when I started working with the snake, I also started noticing my own time in the month, so to speak. And that time in the month I realized I kind of did like this little experiment where I took my blood, yes, I took it, and I gave it to my plants. I wanted to see if our blood really has the nutrients that some people were talking about. And I had this particular plant and it was starting to die. And even if I gave it light, I Reiki'd, I tried every single thing. And so I gave it my blood one month. And I continued with the same things, the water, the sunlight, all of that. That plant is thriving. That plant is alive right now. That plant is beautiful. So the nutrients in my blood that is considered a curse brought that plant back to life. It literally creates growth on the earth. If you give that blood to the earth, you're actually going to get growth from the earth. Something's going to grow there. And again, I did this. I just dumped it on the ground. I have a lot of well, they're weeds, but I have a lot of them growing right now. And it's crazy to me because I'm like, this is supposed to be something that's not, you know, it's supposed to be a curse. The other thing is when I started working with it, I stopped having cramps. Now when I have like a little cramp here or there, I know that I need to tune into my body. I ask my body what to do I need. And my body says, you know, you might need this, you might need that. You might even need a hamburger, okay? I mean, hey, if you know, you know. And when I give my body what it needs, the cramps go away. They stop. So in working with the snake and learning that it's not a curse and learning that we were actually set free, I have began to heal that wound within me that saw darkness in other people, that saw where people just were not good, so to speak, or were not holding up their end of the goodness in the spectrum of, I don't know. Anyways, I wanted to share with you guys this little thing, and it comes from the animal spirit guides. And the snake in here says, you're about to go through some significant personal changes, so intense and dramatic that an old self will metaphorically die as a new self emerges. You're going to feel a surge of energy that will sharpen your senses, alert your mental faculties, and open up new channels of awareness. You're about to resolve long-standing issues, one that has required a great deal of your attention, by seeing things in a new light. It would be a good time for you to start doing either tantric or kundalini yoga. You'll experience a dramatic and unexpected physical or emotional healing very soon, coming from an unexpected source. You can call on the snake when you're going through major life or development transitions, one so powerful that it requires you to shed a lot of attachments, especially to your old identity. You're moving into unknown territory, a passage through darkness, and you're feeling afraid that you won't get through it, and you're anxious about what lies ahead. You need a healing of any kind. You need help in releasing any and all self-destructive or self-defeating tendencies or habits. You want to increase your energy and vitality, including your libido. So if we look around right now, we're seeing the snake depicted as evil. A lot of people are saying like Taylor Swift is, you know, showing the snake on her heels and that kind of stuff as an evil mark or cult or something like that. But in many, 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 many cultures, the snake is actually respected, admired, appreciated, loved. That's why the snake represents the South in the medicine wheel, because we learn how to shed our skin, how to let go of our wounds. So if we don't shed our wounds, we don't let go of our stories that we hold on to, then we continue to create the patterns and we continue to live in those patterns and those wounds over and over and over again until we're forced to see it. And at that point in time, you know, we have no choice, right? We have to shed that story, that wound, or we can choose not to and we just go through it again and then it just gets worse again, right? So what happens when we work with the snake and we shed it and we let go of the wounds and we let go of those stories and we release and we don't see the darkness in others? Instead we visit our own darkness within ourselves. We all have the ability of having darkness within ourselves. We all do. It is within us. And when we recognize that and we face that and we see that, then we begin to heal it. We begin to see it. We begin to grow. You know, it's just like the shadow work. When we meet with our shadow and we heal our shadow and we learn to work with the shadow and integrate the dark and the light, then we ourselves call our own power back to ourselves. We call our own strength back to ourselves. We step into truth, integrity, being who we're supposed to be. You know, everywhere people are talking about shadow work, shadow work, shadow work. But there's also truth in healing that darkness within us, facing the darkness within us. This summer, when my guides literally made me see the darkness within myself, I had no choice but to sit down and see it. I had no choice but to see what darkness looks like within me. And you want to know what? In facing that darkness and talking to that darkness and bringing that darkness back down and shedding some light onto it, I stopped feeling so drained in my life. I stopped worrying about so many things, and I stopped just putting myself in the same patterns and over and over and over and over again. Did I have to shed a lot? Yes. Did I have to recognize things? Yes. Did I have to face some hard truths? Yes. And I think that's why we depict the snake as evil, because Sachamama makes you shed those wounds. Face that darkness within you. Learn that those stories, they're no longer serving you. And so holding on to those stories is just creating those patterns. And sometimes we hold on to that pattern because it's familiar and it's easy, so to speak. But it's not really. It's not easy. It's no better than if we were to let it go. If we were to let it go, we would find freedom. We would find healing. Sachamama literally slithers on the earth. She's going around on the ground. So she represents life itself. Life. With every wound that we shed, with every time we shed our skin, we create a new life for ourselves. We become a new person. We're going to shed our skins million times in our lifetime. We're going to let things go constantly. And we're always going to become somebody new. And sometimes it's really hard to let go of that past. Sometimes it's really hard to let go of that old version of us. I wanted to hold on so tightly to the Bree that I was in South Carolina. I wanted to hold on so tightly to her. I wanted to go back to her because she knew peace and she understood the beauty of the earth. And when she came out here, she let go of that. And she got scared and she was doing things that she shouldn't have been doing. You know? But she had to let that go. And when I finally let that go, I saw truth, I found healing, and I found an open arm of friendship that I thought had long gone. I stepped back into friendship and friends and my soul family that I thought was long gone. But they welcomed me with open arms. Because I learned truth and integrity in those moments. I learned not to judge myself. The snake teaches us not to judge ourselves. She doesn't judge herself. As she lets go of her skin, she lets go of that skin and she moves on and she doesn't even look back. She just lets it go. She knows that she has to release that because if she holds on to that, she can't grow. She will stay a teeny tiny snake forever and ever and ever. But as she lets go of her skin, she grows and she grows and she grows. And she becomes who she's supposed to be. A powerful snake. A snake that, you know, eats the critters that get into your home. A snake that slithers through the garden. A poisonous snake, maybe. You know, a strong snake. A boa constrictor. So a very strong snake. So not all of it is evil. Not all of it is bad. We're seeing a lot going on in the world right now. We're seeing a lot of negativity and a lot of just this is happening and that is happening, and this famous person is now part of this cult, and this famous person is now representing this and that and that. But we don't know. We don't actually know that. Maybe Taylor Swift's snakes represent strength and independence to her. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does represent evil. Maybe it does represent something dark. Who knows? Maybe what we see happening is happening to help free us. We have to shed that skin. So the darkness that we're seeing everywhere, the negativity that we see everywhere, is helping us to shed the skin of the collective. Is helping us to finally release what we need to release so we can be reborn and start new. So we can grow as a collective. You know, we learn. I mean, we have learned that we are just a teeny tiny speck in the bigger, broader plan of the universe, in the bigger, broader cosmos. We're not, the universe isn't just a bunch of gravel hurtling through the sky, or through the universe, through space. There we go. Those are the words I'm looking for. Through space. It's actually, it's a lot more than that. You know, recently I started learning about dreaming and stepping into your sacred purpose. And the sacred purpose is bigger than me. The sacred purpose is the good of all. The good for the universe. The bigger picture. The, you know, not just my little teeny tiny world right here, you know, with me, my daughter, my dog, and my cat. But it's the bigger purpose, the good of all. The sacred purpose. How can I help the good of all? What do I need to do today that sends out that energy to the cosmos, to the bigger purpose, to that sacred purpose? My sacred purpose. What is that? You know, I'm still learning. I'm still stepping into it. As I continue to grow and heal and learn, I step into it further. Even the path that I took that might have taken me off of my spiritual path, away from my shamanic self, taught me something, was part of that sacred purpose to bring me back home, to show me what home is, where home is, how to achieve that peace and happiness and love, how to truly love more than I've ever loved before, more than I ever even knew what love was. All of that, as dark and scary and crappy as it felt, was to teach me how to come back home, was to show me truth, integrity, beauty, strength,